Welcome to this Q&A. One of the most common questions we receive here at this ministry is whether Yahweh allows for divorce and remarriage. Yahshua the Messiah in Matthew chapter 19, starting at verse 3, provides an answer. Here's what he says, Matthew chapter 19, verse 3, "And the Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? And he answered and said unto them, Have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? And said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh, what therefore Elohim hath joined together, let no man put asunder. They say unto him, Why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement, and to put her away? He said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, commits adultery, and whoso marries her, which is put away, doth commit adultery. His disciples say unto him, If the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. But he said unto them, All men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given. So in this passage, Yahshua confirms that marriage is for life. He again said, What Yahweh has joined together, let no man put asunder. You see, when our Father in heaven established marriage, he did so as a lifelong binding covenant. Now, how did Yahshua respond here when the Jews asked why Moses commanded divorce? Well, number one, he said that Moses allowed divorce, which is very different from a command. And number two, it was because of the hardness of man's heart. Understand that as believers today, we can't justify divorce based on the hardness of heart. The bottom line is we should be better than that. It should be our goal to follow Yahweh and never be guilty of being stiff-necked. Yahshua also said here that divorce was permissible only for fornication. Now, this word fornication comes from the Greek porneia, which offers multiple definitions. Within the context, it refers to the premarital relations within the engagement period. It's important to understand that in biblical times, that engagement began marriage, which was then finalized through the actual wedding or nuptials. Matter of fact, the only example of a divorce in the New Testament, which by the way never happened, was when Joseph considered divorcing Mary when she was found with a child during their engagement. Now, I know from many people that this standard isn't easy. What's amazing is that this was even hard for the apostles to accept. After Yahshua explained all this in verse 10, the disciples answered, If the case of the man be so with his wife, it is good not to marry. Yahshua responded here by saying this. He said, All men cannot receive this saying. You know, Yahweh's truth isn't always easy, especially in a culture that no longer values marriage. Very few people understand today the commitment of marriage, and because of that, today's families are in shambles. You know, the Apostle Paul in Romans 7, verse 2 also confirms that marriage is for life. Again, this is the book of Romans, chapter 7. And we're going to read from 1 through 3. It says, Know you now, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he lives. For the woman which hath a husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he lives. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband. So then, if, while her husband lives, she is married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband is dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no adulteress, though she is married to another man. We see here again that marriage is a lifelong union. Paul confirms that we are bound to our spouse as long as they live. Matter of fact, he says here that if they divorce and remarry while their previous spouse is yet alive, that they commit adultery. Now, we believe that this standard applies to those who know the truth, as Paul says again in verse 1, For I speak to them who know the law. The reality is, there are many people today who make this mistake without knowing what Yahweh says within His Word. For those who do, we believe that Yahweh's grace and mercy is sufficient. And for the record, we do not advocate divorce. As Acts chapter 17, verse 30 says, In the times of this ignorance Elohim winked at, but now commands all men everywhere to repent. You know, it's time that we as believers get serious about Yahweh's Word, including what He says about marriage. Listen, marriage is a very basic building block of society. When marriage breaks down, so does a nation. There's no denying that as a nation we are in a moral decline. If there is any hope for change, we must start now with our own families and be an example to those around us. For more information on this, you can request our free booklet, Restore the Lock in Wedlock. You can do so by going to yrm.org or by calling 573-896-1000. Well, I pray that this word has been a blessing to you, and as always, we would encourage you to prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. Until next time, may Yahweh bless. Bye-bye.